Welcome back, Last Minute Podcast, episode 179. Dan, Cam, and myself, Greg. We're back to discuss lots of hockey things and less off-topic stuff like we did last week. We're going to start 2018 with real hockey commentary. Obviously, the Jets played San Jose, and there was a funny little side thing that NBC on San Jose did, making fun of Winnipeg and how cold it is here, because it was blistering cold when the Sharks visited on Sunday, I believe it was.
It wasn't even cold that they made.
No, it wasn't even Sunday that it was cold.
No, Sunday was warm.
Sunday was warm.
And it wasn't even cold that they made fun of. They
made fun of how dark it gets because, get this, the Earth is round, guys.
Flat.
And because it's round, people experience night and day cycles at different times, and because where the Earth is in its rotation around the sun right now, because I don't know if you knew this either, the Earth rotates around the sun doesn't rotate around the Earth.
I thought we were going to stay on topic this week.
No, this is all, this is a scientific,
and I'll finish my
this is a scientific lesson.
Okay.
Because of that, in certain parts of the world, it gets darker earlier than other parts of the world, even on the same continent, because of where the Earth is in its rotation. So right now, because we are more north than San Jose, it gets darker here sooner. Even though it's the same time, I think they're in a different time zone, but it's like relative time zones, right?
And contrary to popular belief, we do have Wi-Fi in Winnipeg.
Yes, it's still
terrible.
terrible.
Was the two things they said. It's dark all the time and we don't have Wi-Fi.
No, the Wi-Fi is bad, which I agree.
No, we don't have Wi-Fi.
Our hotel Wi-Fi is garbage, and our Wi-Fi in general is hot trash.
Needless to say,
Wi-Fi is bad.
Needless to say, that if you watch the tone of the video, it's a total joke.
Yes, oh, for sure.
But still, they posted this before the game Sunday. Sharks lost. Yeah. So they proceeded to get roasted on Twitter for this video.
Yes, which we will get to.
And it was pretty funny.
But I want
to contribute your Earth flat.
Yes.
How come our shoes aren't rounded then? They're flat.
Oh my God.
Done. Argument.
Yeah, that's your argument?
Yeah.
That's your argument.
Shoes on the bottom are flat, not half rounded.
Are you sure about that?
Contour of Earth.
Yeah.
That's mine, right there.
Maybe
I've been on an airplane.
Have you ever?
I couldn't see the end of the Earth. I didn't understand.
Maybe what you perceive to be flat is actually not flat.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
Because I was just shoe shore stopping.
Maybe when you actually step, you're stepping on a very small degree of curvature.
That's not
because when you how big do you
I would
think
fall
the Earth
off the Earth
is?
if my shoes weren't flat.
No, you wouldn't because gravity exists.
Yeah. Is gravity real though? I mean, we're flat.
Are you floating right now?
No, I'm on flat Earth. I'm on flat Earth team. Team Flat Earth.
Yeah, you're on Team Troll everything.
No,
because you can't take anything seriously.
No, I can
take
the
truth.
I can take all
the truth. You can't handle the truth.
I've never seen that movie, but I know the scene.
Okay, you know who couldn't handle something? Sweden in the gold medal game. We'll get to that, but obviously lots of gold medal stuff there. We got to get to Fallen for Dolan today.
Yeah.
As we have a new...
Well, Nick,
new
Connecticut,
intro.
Canes fan, sent us a Fallen for Dolan sound clip. It's fantastic, so you'll hear that for the first time today.
I did hear 1290 last week in the morning. I was driving home in the morning, and they claim that people in Montreal are starting to say they're falling for Dolan. So I think we should have copyrighted this because they are stealing it from us.
I do want to touch on pretty much every Canadian team except for the Flames. Except there's a cool stat about the Flames. Okay. The Flames and the Leafs.
You don't want to talk about the Flames?
The Flames and the Leafs. I don't.
Did you see the coach rant that happened this week?
Actually, yeah, that was pretty good.
Oh, I got a tweet.
So we got to talk about the Flames
briefly.
But I want to talk about every team, Canadian team, but shortly.
Start.
So let's start with Winnipeg. San Jose. You can play the clip Paul Maurice had.
Basically, they just asked.
I thought you were going to play the clip.
I will.
Well,
okay.
But I'm just saying. So the NBC Sports San Jose put out a video before the game Sunday, basically ripping Winnipeg. Sharks proceeded to lose the game to the Jets. They got roasted on Twitter for posting the video. They said, "Well, if you're gonna slam a city, you might want to win the game."
No, they didn't win the game because they were bad. Because the city, there was no Wi-Fi. They couldn't connect to their families.
Anyway, so they asked Paul Maurice about it today, and he didn't watch it. I guess he never saw the clip, but he had a pretty funny response. If I can just find it, sorry.
We told you to cue it up beforehand.
I know it's like halfway through. I don't want to.
Unprofessional.
Will you click and you pull back?
I know.
All right.
This is how we work technology, guys.
We got it.
Yeah.
Now we got to hold it right near there.
Okay, press play.
Okay, so I didn't read it, so it's dangerous to comment on the exact. I heard it's cold and dark. Well, that happens in Canada occasionally, pretty regularly every winter. It's dark at night. Yeah, that happens pretty much around the world. I don't think any coach, any player, trainer, referee should ever complain about a day in the National Hockey League. You know, we got a sold-out building. Pretty sure that all goes into hockey-related revenues, and everybody cashes their check. The thread count at your hotel isn't right, or your Frappuccino isn't frothed right. I don't even know what a Frappuccino is, but my point being, we got nothing to complain about. Pretty good life every day. Every city is a pretty darn good one.
So I thought that was rather amusing.
Well, I think he makes points that are very valid. And why wouldn't you want a team in Winnipeg when clearly we are helping the revenue of the overall NHL, which I think we are doing a very good job of. So I think that's important. I think more importantly, though, the Jets just continue to win. This is a team, despite losing Scheifele, despite having Bufflin not score, then get hurt, having Enstrom out for periods of time, hasn't really lost a stride at any point this season. And Sunday also was the debut of Jack Roslovic, who looked not too bad.
Yeah.
Actually,
bit of a surprise. No one knew he was going to be playing, but
yeah. So it was obviously nice to see. Nice to see him slot in, and they didn't do the typical. We're only going to give you fourth line minutes, which was nice.
No, they actually had towards the end of the game. They had Wheeler with Hendricks and Roslovic, which I found was an interesting combination.
Yeah.
Considering they were up, at the time it was a 2-goal game, so it's not really the time you're going to juggle lines, but I guess they wanted to see what they could do.
They also released All-Star stuff, and they released the central coach being Peter Laviolette. Clearly, I'm assuming it's based on fan vote, because if it was based on merit vote, I don't know how Paul Maurice isn't there, considering his team's leading the division.
The coach is not fan vote. It's only the captains are a fan vote.
So then why is it
well,
that
maybe
Paul
it
Maurice
goes to the
isn't
merit
there?
of them being in the Stanley Cup final last year.
Maybe, because it's not like it's there.
I mean, they've been in and out of first place in the division all year.
But Winnipeg's in first place right now.
Yeah.
And they're kind of the nice story of the NHL right now. There's others, but I think they're one of the nice stories of this is how drafting and developing players works and how you can actually have a team. When we were saying that we don't know if this is a core that can get it done, they kind of have shown that they are getting it done. So, I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that he wasn't in there because he would have been my pick, honestly.
But are there assistants or no?
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean,
I don't know.
At the end of the day, though,
it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. It just would have been nice to be recognized because it's.
But this is also the first time Winnipeg's been in a position where they're one of the better teams in the league. So how much attention outside of Winnipeg are they still getting?
Still only going to have one representative.
They're going to have
and
two.
It's not going to be Blake Wheeler.
They're going to have two.
It's going to be Patrick Laine and only Patrick Laine.
No, they're going to have two. They're going to have Wheeler and they're going to have Hellebuck.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how you don't.
Poor Crawford. Wheel him out on an injury, play him.
But he's so good, right?
But Hellebuck over Crawford.
2 times Stanley Cup.
No, I would take
Hellebuck's record is like 23-4.
Yeah.
How are you not going to?
Crawford's been there before, so you got to take the bin there.
Yeah.
You got to forget the bin there argument.
You got to forget that it is a popularity contest at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
Oh, what a fantastic thing. Then who else did they play this week? So they played the Sharks.
They played
won that game.
Buffalo Friday, and they're playing Buffalo again tonight.
Okay, well they beat Buffalo.
Yeah, that was Sharks was the last game. They're playing right now.
Yeah, they're playing Buffalo right now. So I'm still very curious. We're another 2 months away from trade deadline. There seems to be more talk about it on Twitter that I'm seeing, and just more talk about it in general about what this team should do. I went to the Moose game last night. Tucker Pullman down there looked fantastic. Nick Patan played very well. Tipped in the game-tying goal with like 30 seconds left. It was fantastic. It was a super fun game.
Who they play?
They play the Grand Rapids Griffins.
Anyone notable in Grand Rapids?
Guess who scored on a breakaway for Grand Rapids yesterday?
Mr. Eric Tangrady.
Mr. Eric Tangrady.
Guess who's got 15 points in 10 games against the Manitoba Moose in his career?
Eric Tangrady.
Mr. Eric Tangrady.
Yeah.
Didn't they win last year? Yeah, Calder Cup.
Maybe.
That's fine. He's
Dylan
exactly.
McGrath was also in town for that.
He's exactly what he's always been, and a very good AHL player. Unfortunately, he was with the Jets for 2 years.
Yeah.
But that was the years that they did. Wasn't that also like the GST years?
No,
that was after.
That was the Claude.
That was the first trade I think the Jets actually did that got them a player. Was Eric Tangrady.
Notice how Paul Maurice comes in and they get rid of Tangrady? Yeah.
Notice how Paul Maurice comes in and they actually start making strides. Because I do think he's a good coach.
It took a while.
But overall, I don't really have much to say about the Jets other than they continue to impress us every single game and continue to win hockey games.
Yeah.
And
the question now is, what do they do? Do they add? Well, they're going to add something.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of how big do they go? Do they go all in and go for it? Because that's what. Like, I've seen a couple articles, Hockey News, TSN, basically saying Jets should just go all in. They should try and win.
it's so open this year.
They said the West is open, so they said, why not go for it?
It's just how good can you be against Tampa Bay? How can you beat Tampa Bay? And I think they've got one more game left at home against Tampa. I think that's going to be a real test. But whoever they get has to have playoff experience. So I'm thinking the Eric Stahls, Rick Nashes, Joe Thorntons, those type of players that have the NHL playoff experience. Another guy, I don't know how expensive he'd be. I don't know what his contract situation is, but would be Jordan Staal as well. Doesn't have as much playoff experience, but he's another guy that could fill in, especially in a situation like right now. Instead of having Jack Roslovic fill in, you could have Jordan Staal in there. A little bit more NHL experience.
Yeah, and it comes back to just the matter of who you get, and if you get someone, who do you take out? Because you have a hard time finding someone to take out a lineup right now. Like,
they're having
Tanev and Scheifele are hurt, so they have to plug holes with guys like Mathias and Dano, and they've done a good enough job. But everyone else on the main roster, like, who do you take out?
Well,
they have the most guys over 10 points in the NHL, so their depth that was a problem at the beginning of the year is not a problem anymore.
No, I don't know. I think that's a conversation we have to have at a later time, when we can reassess it, because we don't know what can happen 2 months down the road, right?
I think it's strictly, if they add, it's a rental. It's not a...
No, I think so too.
It's nothing but a rental.
Yeah.
I think they'll give up a first-round pick if they can get someone they think... If they think they can go all the way this year, I can see them giving up their first-round pick.
Yeah, I think they have to.
Now, whether, who
even if it's a 26, even if you end up giving a 26 overall pick, it's not often. I don't know how deep this year's draft is. I know, I think top 10's decent, but other than that, you're not giving up. Being able to even get to the, let's say, Western Conference Finals for them, I think is worth it enough to give up that first-round pick.
Yeah.
And then what you're showcasing to free agents if you need to plug holes. They're going to have $30 million next year of cap room to build with, right? So,
but don't they have to
that's
also
going to
sign
be all allotted.
They have to sign guys,
this year.
but you can also showcase this is what we have to show for potential free agents, and to kind of maybe hopefully keep Jacob Trouba around. But I want to move now to...
I had an interesting... Okay. There was an interesting... I think it was Hockey News. They were writing an article about whether the Jets should buy, or how far in they should go. Mm-hmm. And they were kind of throwing some names around, basically strictly rentals, and saying that Mark Scheifele's gone down. They had to put Blake Wheeler at center, and he's been fantastic. He's got 10 points in 5 games, and looks even better as a centerman than he does as a winger. But they're saying, the fact they had to put a winger in shows that maybe they need more depth down the middle. This was just a hypothetical. You're looking for a rental? You're looking for a guy up the middle? Ottawa's fire sale on their team this year. I know they just got him, but what if they flip Matt Duchene?
It's so rare that you see a player traded twice in the same season.
But are they going to sign him? Because why haven't they done it by now?
But here's the other thing with the Matt Duchene deal. They invested so much in that.
But what if the Jets give them such an enticing offer that it's better than signing Duchene?
What would be that offer? At that
just a first-round pick, I don't think is enough.
You'd probably have to give up a pretty good prospect.
So what, you're going to give up...
Like a Roslovic?
No.
Because they're not going to bite on Patan if that's what they're leaving at.
It's strictly a rental.
I love Matt Duchene. He's one of my favorite NHL players. But I question his ability to perform right now. Yeah. He's not having a great season. I'm not saying he's the cause of the issues in Ottawa, but they haven't been able to win since he got there.
Colorado's doing great.
You're looking at Colorado, who's in a playoff spot right now.
Do you think it's a bad sign that he hasn't signed with Ottawa?
Yes, I think it is. And Ottawa also traded too much to get him. It's a good thing they didn't give up Thomas Chabot, which was part of that deal.
Yep.
But... originally part of that deal, but I question going forward what's going to happen with Matt Duchene. But I wanted to talk about Ottawa anyways, so we can save that for when we talk about Ottawa. But first, I want to quickly touch on the World Juniors. USA wins bronze over Czech Republic. Czech Republic, it was their first time in, I think, 7 years getting past the quarterfinals, so actually getting into the semis. Unfortunately, they ended up falling to Canada quite a bit. And then, so Canada played Sweden in the gold medal game. It was tied 1-1 or 2-1? or 2-2 with 1:40 left.
1-1.
Yeah.
And was you can set the stage.
Tyler Steenbergen, who hadn't had a goal all tournament.
The only player.
The only player on Team Canada who hadn't scored for Team Canada.
Yeah.
Who had the most goals in the last 100 games for any junior player on that team. Pretty much in this tournament, he had the most goals at anyone. I believe it was Connor Timmins, who I give all credit to the D on that, because he's just slap passed it right at him. Tyler Steenbergen just tipped it in perfectly. And there's an interview with him with Mark Masters, right? When they won, basically. And he was saying he does what all of us do at beer league. He's like, I blacked out. I don't know what happened. I don't know. It was awesome. Yeah. And now we're gold medal winners. We did it.
So Canada wins 4-2 by putting the icing on the cake.
Wasn't it 3-1?
It was 3-1.
3-1, sorry.
Yep.
Pardon me. It was still a 2-goal win. Icing on the cake with an empty netter. I think the most impressive thing was Canada's power play, but also is the 5th out of the last 6 years where the gold medal winners had the best power play in the tournament.
Yep.
But with that as well, you look at a Team Canada team that was their only game. They had 6 power play opportunities, had nothing going for them. Sweden played an impeccable penalty kill. So what I try to teach the kids I coach is that's how you have to play penalty kill. You have to be aggressive like that. That's a really good way to play, especially if the speed for it, which Sweden had. So props to Sweden, even though their coach or their captain didn't feel that way.
Elias Anderson.
A New York Rangers prospect.
Yeah, they drafted him this past
So for anybody who doesn't know, Elias Anderson was presented as captain. He was the first one presented with his silver medal and chose to huck it into the crowd of Buffalo. Now, that was the first time Buffalo has seen anything of sorts in a very long time.
What do you mean, a medal in the crowd?
Anything
or a win?
or a win. Yeah, no, they haven't seen that.
They don't see many.
Well, the nice thing is there were so few people there. You probably could have picked who he gave the medal to.
Yeah, exactly. $150 for lower bowl for a gold medal.
Gold medal, I pay that money.
Honestly, I didn't see the gold medal game because I was at the Jets game at the time, but I watched the semifinal games the night before, and I was baffled how few people were there.
$130.
Also, in the medal round...
American, so it was $175.
There was honestly probably 3,000 people at the United States game, if that.
Yeah.
But, okay, during the actual, the semifinal and the quarterfinal, Buffalo was in the middle of, a wicked bad snowstorm, too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the ticket sales were awful all season. But
all tournament.
All tournament. And then near the medal round,
no one could get there.
The highest attended game was a gold medal game. No surprise anyways. But it was all Canada.
The thing that's disappointing is they go to Buffalo. They have such a poor turnout, and you wonder why they can't do it in Winnipeg.
Well, Winnipeg made a bid, did they not, with Saskatoon?
Yeah, and they're not going to do it because guaranteed dollars aren't there.
Money, yeah.
But there was, how much guaranteed money did you get there? There wasn't much. But I want to talk about the Sweden thing, so I want each of your opinion. Then I'll have one with an anecdote. So what did you think, Cam, of him throwing his silver medal in the stands?
I mean, it shows that, I know the quote that he said afterwards. He said, I didn't want it. Or basically, I'm paraphrasing, he didn't want it because he wanted to win. He was there to win. I'm okay with him throwing it because he said, it was obvious that American guy wanted it more than I did. In that same quote, he said, I haven't looked at my silver medal that I lost at the Ivan Helenka from 2 years ago. He's like, I don't care about it. It doesn't mean anything to me. He's like, I want to win. It just shows me that he's passionate. Yes, he's young. It was spur of the moment. So you do act pretty rash when you're younger and make some dumb decisions sometimes. It would have been nice for him to not throw it and maybe give it to his parents and let them take care of it. But he made the decision. It doesn't bother me as much. I was like, whoa, he throw it. But then I'm like, you know what? It just shows that say if I was his GM, I'd be whoever the GM of the Rangers is, I'm drawing blank. Whoever that is, Glenn Sather. That shows me that he's passionate. He wants to win, and it means more than yes, you want to hold on to medals and show your accomplishments, but he can tell people that and just prove that. I'm okay with it to answer your question.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if he had the chance to do it over again, he probably wouldn't do it. But same thing. He the moment he's 19 years old. And for these European players, these tournaments are, it's important in Canada for a lot of these European players. It's more important to them than it is for Canadians. So.
Players.
I have a
because they're
tough time.
showcasing themselves.
They're showcasing themselves, but I also think that it is a big
But in
deal.
general, like international hockey, usually the European players, it's a bigger deal. Like
Yeah.
you see when
it's a big deal to play for your country.
there's that video when Russia beat Canada in whatever tournament they
World
do
Championship.
when the playoffs are on all the time. That in
Yeah.
Canada, we're like, we don't care. We're sending like third liners.
Yeah, I think,
And Russia wins in overtime, and you see how excited they are about it, and it's a huge deal.
I think World Juniors is a little different because there's a lot of nostalgia for people when they look at the World Juniors, because when you're growing up, that, like, I remember sitting down allotting time when I was a kid during Christmas holidays, because that's always when it was, and you watch every game. So I think it's a little bit different for World Juniors. When it comes to hockey, World Hockey Championships, totally get where you're coming from. I agree 100%. It's a bigger deal to those people. Bigger deal with the European
There's a
countries.
reason we don't. I mean, us as a podcast, we don't talk about the World Championships. We talk about the playoffs.
Exactly. So I have a story that kind of at least puts me in the same situation as what happened here. So when I was 11 years old, I was playing hockey, and we had won the state championship. So we got this nice medal for winning. It's a champions, whatever. Come back at 12. We're in city championships again. We end up losing. That feeling of, I don't want to even look at that. I was 12 at the time, so obviously very impressionable. I looked at that as just the biggest, like, here's something for losing. That I have it hidden away. I haven't looked at it since I was 12 years old.
It's your kryptonite.
It literally does not mean anything to me. If anything happens to that one I won, I was 11. I'm 26. That was 15 years ago.
You still won't look at it.
I still will not look at it because it, even though I have trophies from when I was 5 and 6 that I have participation trophies,
I think
I will not. I think
have to
there's.
do it.
I think
You just have to do it.
There's a principle involved with that where you're just like originally it was under my bed. I just wouldn't look at it. Then after it
He
went
heard voices.
when it went from under my bed, I put it under my toy box.
The tour bucks started talking. Where is it now?
And then now it's in one of my ceiling tiles. and
I was really hoping you ate it.
No.
I was really hoping you
No.
were like, I became the
The
medal.
real story
No.
here is he forgets which one it is.
So
he forgets which tile it is.
yeah. So I have this city championship
It keeps moving.
medal that's just hidden in the ceiling tile. No, I understand. Like, you don't want to associate yourself with that because you came there for one reason. Now, how would I feel? And this is what somebody said to me. They're like, okay, you're a sprinter. Your whole life you're a sprinter. You go all the way to the Olympics and you get a silver medal. What do you do with it?
Sell
Well,
it because you're a sprinter in the Olympics and
probably-
you don't have a career.
I'd probably keep it because it signifies my accomplishment of this. But you want that gold medal. So you push harder for the next time. So I like from that perspective where you're saying like you still have to have something to show that accomplishment of getting there, being one of the best players of Sweden at that age, getting that team all the way to the gold medal game, and to lose by technically a goal. Minus the empty net.
Yeah.
Sucks.
It sucks, but maybe you keep that as memento. And maybe you use
Motivation.
that for motivation.
You don't hide from it like Greg did.
Yeah,
That's
I
what-
hide.
So did
Well, I ended up quitting hockey after that, so...
That medal held so much power. Okay, if you ever
He
become a
could've been-
superhero,
he
we
could've
know
been
how to
the-
stop you. We're like, Greg! I'll walk away to show audio. Greg! And you're like, no, I won't do it.
There's a chance.
Greg, we have the medal.
There's a
It's
chance
over.
that Greg could have been in the NHL if he just looked at the medal.
If I just
Talk
accepted
to, and it's like, there's moments where he's like a flashlight and it's just spinning and he's looking at it through the mirror.
I haven't held that thing. I have not. I refused.
Really?
I refused. Like, it went from, when I got it, it went into my hockey bag. Then I didn't look at it until the next season. Like, my bag was unpacked.
You left it in your hockey bag.
Left in my hockey bag. My dad's like,
Without seeing it.
like I obviously
That's a
had
skill.
it. I had it. Like, they put it around your neck. And me and probably 3 other of my teammates, we
Did you-
took it.
oh,
We
I
took
thought
it
you
off.
started hissing.
We took it off and just like we were prepared to throw it. Like, we did not want it. It was the worst.
Maybe Elias Anderson makes the Olympic team for
Yeah.
Sweden, wins gold,
Yeah.
throws his gold as well.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, that's my thing. I just like tossing medals.
He's a medal tosser.
Yeah, but Twitter wasn't around when he was a kid.
Yeah.
But that was his thing. He always threw it, and that guy was his dad. Actually, that's how.
So did that fan get the medal? Or did they
Yeah.
take
yeah,
it?
Yeah.
I
I
gotta
would
think
assume.
they took it from him. Like,
Yeah,
come
That
and
thing's
like
probably
if
worth
I'm
a
not,
lot of money.
well, if I'm not fan, come on, you're on every video clip ever. You could be like, yeah, I caught a medal. Like, yeah, prove it. He's like, bam, boom,
Yeah.
done. Look at that's me. But
I didn't
I'm
catch
sure
it. We have you on video. No, it wasn't me.
I'm sure they got it from him, and they're probably just mailing it to like the Sweden head coach or something, or like the hockey ops.
He'll get it.
But I would be upset too as a coach, like being a coach, if they're like, oh, here's a medal for coming second place. You mean all those days that I decided to forego sleep, forego social life, forego things to look at things. All I get is this. You almost had it. Fuck you. Like that's my.
All you had to do was look at the medal, Greg, and it would go away.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a running
Literally takes
segment
2
now.
seconds of your life. Oh, there it is.
No. Fuck that.
I can go be in the NHL now.
Greg's gonna now be a GM in the NHL because he's gonna go home tonight, turn the flashlight on, start spinning, and looking at it in the mirror and be like, "I will become
all those.
Greg's gonna become like this super good GM, and then whoever he's playing in the Stanley Cup final, their GM's gonna find out about the medal. They're gonna steal the medal. And they're gonna walk into Greg's GM office and just hold it. Be like,
Found it, Greg! No!
You know who's not a good GM?
Who's that?
Mark Bergevin.
Oh, he's a great GM.
So
He trades.
Montreal Canadiens are
good.
still having problems. They still haven't been able to find a number one center. This is an ongoing story. This is the first Canadian team I want to touch on. Now, Dan says they're embracing the tank. They're falling for Dahlin, you might say. Do you think Rasmus Dahlin would be a solution to their problems, or do you think it's just a nice
Patchwork?
patchwork? Or where would he fit in on this lineup? Like, to the point where he would actually help them?
well, for his sake, I hope he doesn't go there because I don't think he's going to turn their team around. And that's not a slight on him. I just think there's too many holes there.
Well, he's not a number one center, which
they have the best
don't
goalie
have.
in the world on their team, and look how bad they are this year.
Yeah.
And, every year until now, Carey Price has been enough to get them by, and he's not anymore. And it's not a slight on him. It's the team's just, it's bad.
Well, 100%. I agree.
And, I mean, for his sake, like, if he went to, Edmonton, he's like the perfect player Edmonton needs right now.
See, I want to touch on that.
Which is
we can
scary
wait.
to think that could happen
We
again.
can wait.
Okay, so...
But a team like Edmonton, a team like Carolina, a team like...
Not Carolina.
Well, yeah.
They have...
Yes,
if they-
Carolina.
if they-
and then
if-
Jacob
okay.
Slavin from Denver comes to
No,
the Flyer
no,
guys.
no.
Fly guys.
Edmonton would
if-
be great. Vancouver, he would be great for that team.
And
Yeah,
Ole
passing of the
Juolevi.
torch
Yeah.
of the
Oh,
Swedens.
Yeah, well, then you have Rasmus Dahlin and Ole Juolevi.
I think
That's not a world I want to live in.
That's a lot of vowels, too. Jimmy won't like
I
that.
think Montreal.
He's losing so
yeah.
much money on Brock Besser.
He's bleeding out Brock Besser.
Brock Besser's making him enough money. I think.
Okay.
So, what do you think about... guys? So, Montreal, you wanted to finish up with
Well,
that.
no, like, I look at this team, a team that was so prominent a couple of years ago, and their fall from grace has been so well documented. Can start with the PK Subban trade. Now you're looking at the Mikhail Sergachev trade. Do they look at, honestly, they've got Pacioretty that I think is expiring this year.
Is he?
It's either this year or next
Well,
year.
he's on the block.
Of course, he's on the block.
So he's
He
on the
wants to
block.
get out.
Do they look at Jonathan Drouin? But my number one question is, I was looking at it yesterday. I also watched the documentary Names on a Cup. Their best years in the league, in the NHL, since expansion, were in the early 70s. Who is their coach?
Player coach. I don't know.
Who is their coach, Dan? Do you know?
I don't.
Now,
Should we know this?
yes. 1970s.
1970.
Guy Lafleur.
No.
Jacques Lemaire.
Weird that you go to Francophone. He was an Anglophone coach
What?
named Scotty Bowman.
Oh, shit.
He
I didn't
coached
know
in the
that.
70s.
Look at this. He
Okay.
was born in like the 1800s.
So you have this guy that's an Anglophone. I think their number one problem right now is they're restricting themselves to solely Francophone coaches. And this isn't a slight... They need to start looking at Anglophone players, coaches, to start rebuilding this franchise. Bring Saku Koivu, and he's beloved. He's a Swede for crying out.
Finn.
He's
That's okay.
finished, yes.
We got you.
Yeah, thank you. But regardless of that, they need to start bringing in other people, and you need to forego that language thing. They're the only team in the league that has this need to always have French people on it.
Well,
It just does. It's holding them back.
I think the problem is it worked for a while and now it's not working, right?
But it worked for what? They won a cup in the 80s. They won a cup in the 90s. They haven't been this amazing franchise for 40 years. They haven't been. Yeah. For almost 50 now. Like,
I don't even think it's maybe partially that, but I just don't think I think there's a lot of signings on that team that just aren't good.
Well, yes, obviously, but your brain trust is made up of you have to have a French GM. You have to have a French coach. So it's either you're going to have Claude Julien, what's the old, he's the assistant coach in Ottawa now. Jacques
Lemaire?
Not Lemaire.
Brian Boucher.
Not Brian Boucher.
The assistant in Ottawa. Mark Crawford?
Jacques something. He used to coach in Florida.
Jacques Lemaire, I'm telling you.
It's not Lemaire.
I don't think it's Lemaire. Dan, go. Anyways,
Please.
while you think of it.
So you have, like, you look at their last coach, they just recycle through the same coaches. Jacques Martin. That's who it is.
Boom.
So they have him. They had Claude Julien. They had the coach they had before Claude Julien. Who's the coach? I'm just trying to think. Michel Therrien.
How long has Bergevin been their GM?
5 years.
I guess that's.
He's created like they have
that's
no
not
prospects.
a terrible shelf life. I mean,
no, but he hasn't been able to bring anybody up from the AHL. He hasn't had any success
because they trade them away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's the problem. But the problem is they're Glenn Molson's probably thinking, well, I need to bring in a francophone GM. And how many GMs do you know that are French? There's not a surplus of them, though.
I have an idea.
Okay.
Is Molson the one who owns, like, Gillette Stadium? And,
No.
like, is he the one who owns the Patriots?
No.
Damn it.
No.
I was going to say Bill Belichick
Because
might get
Kraft
fired.
owns...
I was going to say
Kraft
Bill
owns.
Belichick. Bring him in. He'll adapt.
He's not French.
He's a smart guy.
He's not French.
He
We're gonna
doesn't
bring
even
Bill
coach
Belichick
hockey.
to
It's a
coach
new
hockey
thing.
team.
Hey, you know what? Scotty Bowman didn't need to know how to skate to coach, and he won a lot of Stanley Cups.
A lot of them. The most, actually. How many does he... I think he's like... He's
won-
like, all right, I think all my tans and toes
I think
got
he
them.
won 5 or 6 with Montreal.
3 with the Wings.
Won 3 with the
9.
Wings. Won a gold medal. And I think that he was... I think it's 8. 8 or 9. Yeah, there is 8 or 9 cups, yeah. But moving on now to Ottawa. Since getting Matt Duchene, they've been, I think, on pace for a 49-point season, which would have been worse than Colorado.
Well, Vegas just hit 60, so...
Yeah, I know.
I mean, there's that.
So what is the real problem in Ottawa right now?
Well, I mean, partially the owner, who's like, well, if you guys don't buy tickets, but then it's reflected back at it. It's like, well, we're not buying tickets because the team's awful.
But and how much does that seep into the players? Basically, just saying, well, we don't care.
And is it partly because they know going into it, they're like, okay, well, we're not going to be able to pay it because our owner won't flex his wallet out for it.
Because it's hard to fathom that this team was a goal away from the Stanley Cup last year. Final.
Yeah.
And they're this bad.
Now, I don't want to put any of this on Boucher because I don't think it's him. I also think they were getting some above-average goaltending last year from Craig Anderson. They were getting some good shooting percentages. As everybody said, their underlying numbers weren't able to support what they were doing. And they're falling the same way Colorado fell the year they made the playoffs.
They're the Winnipeg of 3 years ago.
No, because Winnipeg's still good underlying numbers. They're
But-
the Colorado team that had terrible underlying numbers
Winnipeg,
and great save
Winnipeg
percentage.
maybe overachieved a little bit, made playoffs. What happened the next 2 years?
Yeah, no, true.
Right?
Um,
Colorado, Calgary, like a lot of these teams.
and for Winnipeg fans worried about that, the underlying numbers right now for Winnipeg are top notch.
There's not a bad number.
You don't want
They
to
could
start
shit the
playing
bed
that.
hard and still make it. Don't worry about it.
And they're
fine.
Corsi, all their numbers, all the numbers that matter, Winnipeg's doing just fine.
If they go 500 the rest of the year, they'll finish with 96 points.
That's pretty good.
Is that home ice?
Maybe. Second or third.
But that if they play 500 hockey for 40 games, they have finished with 96 points.
So get 40 points. They're already 56.
Just don't play at home against Vegas. They'll be fine.
So, do you think moving a key player like Hoffman or Stone or even Duchene is the answer to this team's short-term problems? Because clearly their long-term problems are, we have no first-round picks because we traded them all for Matt Duchene.
Well, Duchene, if it's not working out, is an easy fix because you haven't signed him. If it's not working, you can still flip him and hopefully get a return for him. And you know what? If
At least make it not look as bad.
If they flip him at the deadline to a contender, they'll get a first-round pick and more.
Yeah, especially if it's like the Rangers.
Yeah.
That's probably the team it's going to be because
that's an easy out for them if they want out.
No, for sure.
Carlson, has he been the same player since he had his surgery?
Uh-oh. Greg's got a big face on.
What about Washington gets Matt Duchene?
Of course. Why not?
Even better, Toronto gets Matt Duchene.
Vegas.
Guys, we're looking, Pat. You're thinking of the wrong player to trade. Greg's got a silly face on. I'm going to say what's going to happen.
Oh, okay.
Again, I didn't want to do this.
Oh, he's going to go to the Flyers? And the Flyers are
I
going
didn't
to
wanna do this.
miss the playoffs by 8 points? Or 9 points?
3. They're going to
7
crush.
points?
No, they're going to go on a tear and
Okay.
then fall off that cliff.
Yeah, because of course.
Rip my heart out every year.
Yeah, they do.
So I didn't want to do this. But obviously starts with the NHL vet of 500 games played, Andrew McDonald. Obviously.
You're just all about the...
Starts with McDonald. We'll toss in Robert Haig. And then you know what? I'll toss you a bone. I'll give you a first rounder. Coming back the other way, none other than, you know
Not
what?
Thomas Chabot.
Let's line him up with the Prov dog. Provorov, okay? And this guy also plays as much as Provorov, if not more. Erik Karlsson. It's only fair. That's a fair trade. And you know what? We'll pay for your sody pop for the entire year.
Considering the fact the Flyers have enough money left over because they didn't sign Shea Weber to that enormous contract.
Yeah, but they're going to have some deals of their own that have to...
I believe those contracts are called Jake Voracek and Gladys.
Yeah, exactly.
Apparently Giroux's in third in points in the NHL. I thought he was like 17th.
Have they signed Couturier recently?
They did. Yeah, he's good.
So,
he's
okay, well,
there's no big contracts.
That's good
to sign.
because...
Oh, you know what? We'll toss Wayne Simmons too.
No.
Wayne
Wayne
they're
Simmons
not going to be able
Toronto.
That's fine then. Oh, okay. Ideal.
Yeah.
Okay. Wayne Simmons for one night of scoring.
No.
It's only fair.
we're giving you JVR back. You can have JVR.
You know
we
what?
want Wayne
That's
Simmons.
too perfect. Let's do it.
Wayne Simmons for JVR.
But to answer your question, short term, sure, maybe a trade will make sense. But what they need to do is just like an overhaul of the entire organization, which is going to take 3 to 5 years.
Except coaching.
They have to full rebuild. They have to they can't just have stopgap like the Detroit a couple years ago. Or last year, They have to. I think it's just like. They have some pieces, but not the right pieces.
So do you move Erik Karlsson then?
I mean, based off the way Melnick reacted and like the owner, I forget who the owner is.
Melnick is the owner.
Okay, then
Dorian,
my bad.
Dorian's
Based off of management and ownership,
Yeah.
it sounds like Erik Karlsson's not coming back, or they're not prepared to pay him what he knows he's worth and what everyone else.
10.5 to 11 million.
Well, and they kind of threw that at the fan, like in the fans' face too, right? Saying, "Oh, well, you're not going to support the team, so we're not going to."
Yeah.
Basically saying we're not going to put any money. You know, that I don't think their team is that bad. I think their ownership and everything organizationally with that team is a nightmare, and I think it's leaching into the team. Because I don't think their team is that bad. I think blowing their team up would be a mistake. They have a pretty good team. It's the guy that's calling the shots. His attitude is leaching into the players.
I also think they're missing this big defenseman in Mark Mathod out there as well.
Yeah.
I think him not being there hurts as well.
And that would be where Robert Haig and Andrew McDonald step in.
No.
Naturally.
No,
well,
because not even Vegas would touch them.
Who's that? Robert Haig was untouchable, and Andy McDonald had to be protected.
He had to be.
Yeah, he wasn't available. When you come to the Flyers, they're like, hey, you can.
No trade clauses.
I don't need a trade clause or anything. No. It's on us. Don't worry about it, buddy.
This
isn't gonna bite us in the ass every year. Don't worry about it, dude.
That's the rumor, though. Now with the new CBA, when they're going to negotiate it, they think that instead of a no trade clause, they might do an expansion draft protection clause. They might try and get those in contracts.
They should get
for when Seattle
contracts.
comes into the league.
And the Houston Hot
Because apparently a lot of, I don't know if it's a lot, but there's certain owners and GMs who are mad that Vegas is doing as well as they are. They basically said they got too much. Which is funny because they actually didn't even take the best team on paper that they could have taken.
You know what I love about
But it's the Florida Panthers. That's who you should be mad at.
Okay.
They didn't understand the rules.
They literally did not.
When they got their list, they had 3 days to look at it. And they already had an idea of who their team was going to be. And McPhee was answering calls he had the list of the players behind him. He's like, Florida called, and it's like, oh, we're going to take Riley Smith.
Was it Talon?
Talon. Yeah, Talon would call. And McPhee would have the list, and he'd be like, okay, we're going to give you Riley Smith. And he's like, oh, well, I don't know about that. And he's like highlighting Riley Smith. And it's like, all right, how about you take Marchessault? We'll give you a fourth to take, or we'll give you Riley and a fourth to take Marchessault. And he's like, oh, okay. And he's like adding in, filling the dots like Mad Libs. And then he already knew his team, and he called teams, and he's like, I'm totally going to take the guy. I'm taking this guy. And they're like, please don't take that guy. Okay, how about you give me a third? They have something like 20 plus picks in the first 4 rounds in the next 2 years alone. 20 picks in the first 4 rounds, which is insane.
They literally, from the Jets, they literally took nobody. They literally were like, yeah, we'll take Thorburn. Give us a pick, we'll take Thorburn so you guys can keep your team.
Like
literally, they didn't even care. They're like, whatever.
I think that Cheveldayoff's like, okay, well, someone's going to screw this up. I'm not going to let it be me. So we got on the phone.
He knew Florida was pushing.
He had some dirt, like he has dirt on all of his players. He had dirt on George McPhee. So he's like, you want that to leak to the presses? I have my ways. It might take 6 years because your Wi-Fi's so bad. But
I will text your wife that you cheated on your keto diet 6 months ago, George. I will do it. I am not above it. You take Chris.
You told her you were working out on Monday. I saw you eating chicken wings. Yeah, I have pictures.
I was at Buffalo Wild Wings as well. It was me, Austin, the whole time.
It was delicious. I know, right? Yeah, that one waitress was hot. Yeah, she was.
She had very nice eyes.
Yeah, very nice eyes.
Yeah, so where were we? I forget. GM, Vegas?
Somewhere
Ottawa?
with contracts.
Contracts?
Yeah, we're just talking
expansion clause coming
Oh,
out,
yeah. No, everyone's
talking
pissed
about
because
Air Crossing.
Vegas is just mopping up shop. And you know what's great about Vegas? So the reason they're also doing good, besides, like, a whole team that's bought in, every player on their team's playing with a chip on their shoulders. They're like, oh, well, they didn't want me, so I'm going to prove them what I'm worth. And Jonathan Marchessault got that sweet contract, like 6 years, $5 million per, 30 total.
That money is just like, oh yeah, just put up 30 goals for us. Or even like, if he puts up 25 goals, that contract's going to be just fine.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful.
I think that also sets the bar where that's the first bar-setting contract of the year, and I think we're going to see some others follow.
And it sets a bar for his teammates, too, who a lot of them actually don't have contracts as of, like, July 1st or something, or June 30th or whatever.
Brendan Leipzig, who's been just great, too.
Yeah. Everyone's been fantastic. Any other Canadian teams?
I want to talk about every team
Go.
Except for Winnipeg and Toronto.
That's fair.
Because I feel we talk about them all.
Yeah.
So let's move to Calgary, where they had a situation with their coach this week, Glenn Galutzin.
Who he threw a stick.
Absolutely went off on his players.
I will tweet it.
Don't really know the situation. Do either of you guys?
He said that or at least in the video clip that I will tweet, it basically from the audio, he was mad because they won one game and they were dogging it in practice and like just kind of like having a fun time when he's like, one game and you act like this. And that's why he threw his stick. By the way, there's a sports science behind his stick. He threw it 21 feet up and 37 feet away. He hit the second row of like 200 section at MTS.
Yeah,
he hit the 200 section.
He launched
went
it
over the boards, hit the 200 section. That's far.
That's impressive.
Yep.
That's a toss. And you know what's great too? Not even forehand, backhand, frisbee toss. Not even forehand.
It's a lot of forearm strength.
Oh yeah.
Wonder what he does in his off time.
Obvious
stress ball. It's a lot of stress ball.
Oh yeah.
A lot of
odd shaped stress ball.
All that stress ball.
Yeah.
But basically his players are dogging it and like showboating and acting like they've earned this soft practice, and he was getting mad at them because he's like, "You've won one game.
Yeah.
They're still in. They're in the playoff
hunt. Yeah.
They're in the hunt.
They're a couple points.
Now is not the time to lay off for anyone. Like even if you're in first, don't lay off. Like just keep going, and then but like you maybe
your time to lay off is July, August.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
And like the back half of
get your name on that silverware. Yeah. That'd be nice.
Well, and they made a good point too because I was listening to 1290 on my own from work, and they played the clip and they were talking about it, and they made a good point. They said, you may only be a few points out, but it's hard to gain points. It takes time to gain points on teams, and there's now only 40 games left. Like they said, for instance, the Jets were 7 points behind St. Louis at the start of the year. It took them 30 games to make up 7 points, which is three wins. But it took them 30 games,
4 wins.
And they have one of the best records in the league, and it took them 30 games
to pass
to catch 7 points. So if you're 4 or 5 points out right now, that's hard.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like not only that, you have to look at the other teams that are also in the fight that you also have to pass. Because sometimes you're 4 points out, but you've got 3 teams to leapfrog.
Yep.
That's really hard to do, especially if there's this backlog of teams there. So I don't think it's time for Calgary to take their foot off the gas. But one of the cool things from their game was they played Anaheim recently at home, and Matthew Tkachuk fought Ryan Kessler. Now, who else has Ryan Kessler fought? Matthew's father, Keith Tkachuk.
Oh,
Did he?
cool.
Yeah, so they had the little
You know what?
father-son. both
Honestly,
fought
for
in
two
Lancaster.
rats, it was a pretty good fight.
Yeah, well, they play similar style hockey, which is to
They're
antagonize and
pests.
to piss.
That's the word we're looking for. I was like, what's the other word?
They're the
You
people.
do realize that pest is the nice word for douche, right?
Yeah, well, they're
yeah.
the people you
Okay.
want on your
And
team,
rat.
but you don't want to play against them. But now Calgary's doing a good job.
Apparently, they are also working on a way to get rid of Jaromir Jagr, or to mutually move on from each other.
Oh, really?
Apparently.
Oh,
They're
if he
not
wants to
liking-
take the Burmese trophy,
No, they are.
just say, I'm retired.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Null and void.
Yeah, they're on a road trip right now. He didn't go with them.
Whoa.
Why?
I don't know. They apparently are working on some way to get him out of there.
Oh, wow. Weird.
I don't know. I didn't read too much into it, so.
Oh, wow.
did not know that.
Me neither.
Coming to Toronto.
Yep.
I think it's time to go to the tire fire that is the Edmonton Oilers.
Can I just...
I,
So,
Weird comments?
big trade happened this
Oh, okay.
week. Edmonton acquired Al Montoya for a conditional
Yes.
fourth-round pick.
I did know that.
Let me just read what we already all knew for Edmonton. Malcolm Subban was picked up by Vegas for nothing. Calvin Pickard went for a sixth-round pick and a contract dump after clearing waivers. The best two goalies in the AHL right now cleared waivers. One is 24, Hutchinson.
Yeah.
The Oilers give up assets for a 32-year-old with 4 games played this year and a 0.863 goals against save percentage.
it's a desperation.
What are you doing, Chiarelli?
Okay, but if I'm approaching this from Shelley, because I thought about this as well. What am I giving up to get Michael Hutchinson from the Jets?
That's
Most likely a
100%
second
fair.
round pick.
Yeah.
Maybe a third.
I think Chevy will try and get as much out of him as he can.
Exactly.
No, but second round for
Because
a
the
guy you're
Moose-
not even.
I mean,
He's an insurance clause.
I understand that the Jets, Chevy's worried about them, but I don't think he's just going to get rid of Hutch to get rid of him with how well the Moose are doing. I think he will, if there's a good offer,
Yeah.
he will take it. But I think if not, I think he'll leave him there and he'll let them, he'll let the Moose try and win a Calder Cup.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think so too. Obviously, Hutchinson probably wants to get back in the NHL.
He's the first goalie to win. He won the Player of the Month, or he won the Goalie of the Month or Player of the Month in the
Goalie,
NHL
for sure.
2 months in a row.
Good for him.
And he did no comment both times.
Wow. He's been doing
Well,
that.
for good measure.
He's been doing it all year. It works.
It's steady
So-
Eddie. Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. You know, I want to hear from you.
I
You
wonder
hear
if
from
he
me, it's
even
working.
likes playing on that team.
Well, I
Or
think
if he's having fun.
I think the fact that they're doing as well as they are probably makes it a bit easier,
100%. Oh yeah.
and the fact that he's a big reason.
Yeah.
But
Did he play yesterday in the game
Yeah.
you watched?
Yeah.
And he looked all right.
I thought he was good.
Did
yeah,
he
he had a
talk
few
to anyone?
good. No.
I heard
Really?
that-
No.
You
Not
notice
that I
that,
noticed.
though. You notice it when goalies do
I-
talk, though, for sure.
Yeah. I heard the Moose played horrendously bad yesterday, and they still got a point.
Yeah, they weren't that good yesterday. Looked a little slow. Weren't really able to develop much of a rhythm to their game. But at the end of the day, when they needed to turn it on, they were able to do it, and they did very they're you can tell they're a good hockey team.
While we're on the Moose, because I just thought of this, so Jets are playing Sabres right now.
Yeah.
It's almost 3 years to the day that the infamous trade went down.
Yeah.
So if you look on Buffalo's side, Zach Bogosian's playing.
Yeah.
Evander Kane's going to be traded soon.
Yeah.
And who was the other guy in the trade?
Jamie Phillips.
A goalie who's not anywhere close to their roster, right?
No, it was Kasdorf. Jason Kasdorf.
Right? Look at the Jets. Tyler Myers, playing in the game. Joel Armia, playing in the game. Jack Roslovic, who was the first-round pick in that trade that they selected.
Playing in the game.
Playing in the game. Brendan Lemieux, not playing, but he's on the roster. He got called up.
Interesting.
So that's 4 roster guys for the Jets from
And
that trade.
Stafford's gone. But
Yeah, but I think they knew that when the trade happened.
Oh, yeah, for
but still, think that's 4 guys that are on the roster.
They interviewed Tyler Myers before today's game because they got a text message from the replacement, Matt. And Dennis Bayak interviewed Tyler Myers, and he's like, Tyler, what makes you and Kulikov such a good defensive pairing? Tyler Myers replied, me.
Attaboy.
So, hey, at least he's a good... Oh, and this is Myers' actually first time playing in Buffalo
Yeah.
since the trade. Yeah.
He's always been hurt. And this, honestly, a renaissance season for Tyler Myers. For
Yeah,
a guy that's going
he's on
into
pace for 45, 50 points.
And for a guy that's going into a contract year next year, this has been a good year. But I want to go back to Edmonton. Obviously, the Al Montoya, just disaster. I don't mind Al Montoya. Is he still good back? I don't know if he's a good backup. But that team has terrible contracts flooding their roster.
You'd think they'd be in the Saddle Dome.
Oh,
sorry.
They don't have any.
Normally, I throw those.
They don't have any youth coming in to fill their lineup. But to take another comparison here, you look at the Edmonton Oilers, where they really don't have any guys that are growing through their system. You have McDavid, who you drafted, Draisaitl, who you drafted, Nurse, who you drafted, and Puljujarvi, who you drafted recently, in the last 3 years,
of course,
that are doing well. But your complementary players around them, the guys that you signed, the free agencies you signed, you haven't been able to make it work. Milan Lucic doesn't look like Milan Lucic of 3 years ago. Patrick Maroon is not a stable first-line guy with Connor McDavid.
He never has been. He's put up the numbers to disguise it so people overlook it.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is just fine. Ryan Strome was a bad trade, but I think he's just fine. Obviously, you'd rather have Jordan Eberle, but he's fine. But they've never had guys to fill in spots. They don't have a guy like Adam Lowry. They don't have the Marco Danos, the guys to fill in, and then they don't have guys that have been in the system for 7 years, the Blake Wheelers and those types of guys. So when you look at comparisons of what it takes to be a successful team, you need trades that work well in your favor. Edmonton right now doesn't have one. They got roasted on the Taylor Hall one. They got roasted on the Jordan Eberle one. The only thing that's going well for them is they have the best player in hockey.
And it's funny because the Taylor Hall trade last year looked like a good deal for,
both teams.
It looked better for Edmonton because look how good their team was last year. Jersey was kind of, still floundering, and now Jersey this year looks great, and Edmonton's been the biggest disappointment in the league.
By far.
Edmonton. By far.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
They,
but it's showing, obviously, they overachieved last year.
And I think this is from the top down. Obviously, they're not going to fire Chiarelli 3 years into this. They're not going to fire McLennan. But you might have to think about moving somebody. Because that Draisaitl contract, you look at his stats. Somebody put out his PDO was at a 102.5.
What's a normal one?
Around 98. So essentially what it is your PDO is your shooting percentage plus the save percentage that your team achieves. But they do it individualized. What is the save percentage when you're on the ice versus and your shooting percentage altogether? So he was shooting last year at a 16 or 17%, maybe 18% shooting percentage. And I think he's NHL average is around 11. But when he's on the ice, his goalies were getting a 980 save percentage, which isn't sustainable because the average player is normally about a 920 because that's what goalies are, right? So when you look at that, I was just dumbfounded at the fact that this is why you paid him for one season. You thought 1 year and I'll give you $11 million, or what did he actually get? 8.5.
Who's that?
He got 8.5. Yeah,
8.5,
which is still too much money.
Well, and you look at some of the other deals that are getting signed, and it's
this is what's going to cripple your team. And I said it in the offseason, and it's clearly showing now. They're not in a position right now to move or to try to get any extra players because you're either giving up a Jesse Puljujarvi or Darnell Nurse to get what you need, which you don't want to do because you're not going to give up a young player. But you have no freedom in your cap because you've signed long-term bad contracts that are going to hurt you. And they are stuck in these contracts. And I question if they're even going to be able to sign Talbot.
Do you want to sign Talbot? He hasn't been that good.
Who else is out there?
Well, that's the problem too, right?
Who else are you going to
go
with?
And I don't think their decor is very good still.
Steve Mason?
Michael Hutchinson.
No, but why wouldn't Edmonton call Winnipeg about Steve Mason?
Yeah.
He's a cheap replacement.
And what does Winnipeg need for their run? Because they're in the playoffs. Come on. So
honestly, what do they need? Nothing.
It wouldn't
who
be.
Would they like to have? One answer.
A guy, probably a veteran forward who's been in the playoffs and who's got some size that can give them a little bit of toughness.
Okay.
Because that's the one area that they're a little lacking.
Give us Milan Lucic for 100% salary retention to Edmonton.
Yes. Sure.
Legally, they can't do that. It'd have to be 98.
Can we just loan him for the rest of the year to give him back?
Yeah.
Because I don't want him for more.
And then they keep Hutch.
Maybe the best way I could say it is you get Steve Mason, we get Zach Cassian and Is Zach Cassian?
I don't
still
want
on the team?
Cassian.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought so.
I don't want that.
And
You don't have to play him. You just need
You
to
get-
make the move. You're doing
yeah,
a nice
and then you get a second rounder from Edmonton as well.
And
you
know
know
what?
they're following.
We'll do Moneyball.
Okay.
We'll get him to give us like Sody Pop for the entire rest.
So,
of,
and here's the
rest
thing.
of the year.
The Jets already sniped the guy they wanted from the Oilers and Matt Hendricks, so it's fine.
It's true. So here's the thing.
Get another Matt Hendricks.
Obviously,
That'd be
we
good.
know they are prominent in the 2010s of winning the lottery. What does Rasmus Dahlin do to this team if he goes?
Are we
there?
falling for Dahlin?
We're not falling for Dahlin.
Okay.
yet.
What
We
does
got one more
Rasmus
Canadian team.
What does Rasmus Dahlin do for this team?
Fills a big hole.
Yeah, fills a hole in getting the puck up the ice for sure. And their power play, Rasmus Dahlin and Connor McDavid. You have two stalwarts who can power. I mean, you might want to load it, but you could also do power play 1, power play 2 now, and have have QBs. So I would say they instantly make them better.
Yeah,
It makes them better, but I mean, it's kind of weird because you would assume that they'd be a high-scoring team who just allowed a lot of goals against. But right now, they're a low-scoring team that's allowing a lot of goals against, which is weird because they have arguably the best player in the world on their team. And he's having, I think he's about a point a game, if not slightly over a point a game, yet they're still struggling this bad.
Because they're resting it all on the shoulders of one player.
Yeah. So, and that contract for McDavid hasn't even kicked in yet.
No, that would be next
year.
Yeah, they're going to be in trouble. Okay. Last one, Vancouver. They have finally started to slip in the standings, but Brock Besser continues to succeed.
We can all breathe.
And excel.
Vancouver is doing bad.
But what do you think Vancouver should do? Should they be sellers at the deadline? Stay put? Like, obviously, this is another conversation we can have closer to the deadline. But you want to ride Brock Besser as much as possible. But do you think that they should keep the course they're on? Do you think they should try to sell a few guys at the deadline? What do they need to propel them a little bit more forward? Personally, I think they need a better goaltender. And they have Thatcher Demko in the AHL, which might be the answer. And maybe they're just waiting time with Jakob Markstrom for that. They also have the Sedin brothers, who are just going to live out their last contract and be done with the league.
So so you think they will re-sign at the end of the year?
They might go 1 or 2 years, or they might just call it quits after this year.
If you're Vancouver, I think you leave your young core alone, but they've got some guys, like they've got Sam Gagner, they've got Michael Del Zotto, they've got some veteran guys, quote unquote, Vanek, that they can, maybe a team will take as a rental and they'll get a pick, But I wouldn't damage the core, like the young core, because they seem to be a lot further along than we thought they would be this year. And I mean, nobody thought Besser would be as good as fast. Like his point projections are better than Matthews and Laine last year.
Through his first 47 career games, he's got 26 goals and 44 points.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. Matthews had 23 goals, 39 points. And I'm sure Laine had pretty much the exact same as Matthews, just more goals.
Yeah.
So
he was like 3 or 4 points.
To answer your question, stay put and do exactly what Dan said. Trade off Gagner, Vanek.
Your 1-year contracts.
Yeah, and you know what? If you want to go for a big haul, although he's pretty good part of your team, you could get a higher end pick or prospect for Tanev. Brandon.
See, I would
he just got Chris Tanev.
Because Brandon.
Chris Tanev. Okay.
He just got hurt. He's a guy that he just got a puck to the face in the game against Toronto on Saturday.
Okay.
Or do you keep
He's the guy I want.
Do you keep Tanev and move a guy like Edler? Because Edler's kind of
other way, we all agree, stay put and just don't do anything rash. Jimmy, hold back, enjoy your cocktail weenies. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
enjoy that eggnog.
Pull a Chevy, Pull a Chevy, wait till 145, throw in a really small deal at the end of the day.
What was Chevy's small deal at the end?
Stafford for a 2nd round pick.
Yeah. Okay.
I like those sweet
so
treats.
it's time for
Falling for Dahlin.
There we go.
And the stinger you're going to hear right now, or right after I'm done talking. So Nick, Canes fan, he made our intro. He's awesome. Here it is.
I've fallen.
Falling for Dahlin.
I've fallen.
Rasmus Dahlin gör 1-0 för Frölunda.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Okay, so I'm going to go from 26. Not going to go bottom 5, we'll go bottom 6. because I get so much pleasure saying this name, but at the same time, not a lot.
Are you about to say Philadelphia?
Montreal.
Oh.
Edmonton, Vancouver, Ottawa, Buffalo, and last place Arizona.
You know what? Dahlin and Buffalo, that would be good for them.
Why? Why though?
I don't
Why?
want that game. I'm
They
not playing
keep
that
doing
game.
it.
I'm saying
No, you know what?
for them.
Me? I'm anyone but Pittsburgh. I want Pittsburgh to go on a tear and make playoffs. Anyone but Pittsburgh.
No, you know what's going to
That's
happen?
it.
Chicago's going to miss the playoffs, win the lottery. He's going to Chicago. They'll win the cup next year.
All right. Thank you guys very much for listening this week. If you want to get in touch with the show, email us lastminutepc@gmail.com or leave us a comment at our YouTube page. If you're wondering what that is, Last Minute Podcast is how you find us there. If you're wondering if you can take the show on the go with you,
You can.
yeah.
Podcast apps.
Check out your podcast app either in the Apple Store or in Google Play and look up Last Minute Podcast there. Also, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter @LastMinutePC. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.